Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brittany of BrittanyJJones.com. If this is your first time tuning in to my channel, welcome. I hope that you will like what you see and subscribe below for more. Before I get into the video, I do want to shout out Tiffany at Tip Stitch. She is selling these shirts and I bought one. It says "Sew Is." I think it's super cute. It says "A person who sews selfishly." And a person who is skilled in sewing but will not hem your pants. Also me. They come in a couple different colors and they're really nice quality t-shirts. No, she did not send me this. I bought it with my own money. I just wanted to support Tiffany. So if you're interested in this shirt, I'll link it down below if you want to purchase you one. So today's video is going to be a preview of our sew along that I'll be uploading on Friday. And this is kind of like a viewer's choice pick because over on my Instagram, I hope that you are following me there, because in my Instagram stories, I put up a little poll and I asked you all the pattern that you would like me to sew next, and this was one. I put up 4 patterns and this was one that won, so the next pattern I will do that one next week, but this one we're going to sew first, and this is Butterick 6554. I am all for a wrap dress, a shirt dress, dress with ties, twist. I'm that kind of girl. I am all for it. I feel like they are really flattering on my figure. So even though I have a ton of wrap dress patterns, I still got this one. I thought it was cute, and I think I'm going to go with view B on this pattern. I just got back from Joann's getting all of the supplies that I would need to make this dress. So now let's go ahead and go over the notions that you will need to purchase. I'm going to show you the fabric that I purchased, as well as open up the pattern to make sure there's nothing crazy in it that's going to trip us up when we're sewing along on Friday. So let's go ahead and get into the preview video now. Alright, so here you can see that I have all of my supplies laid out, but first let's go ahead and go over the pattern. So again, we're going to be working on Butterick 6554, and I'm going to be making view B on this pattern. You can see here that I have purchased the pattern in the size 14 through 22. So let's go ahead and flip to the back and read more about it. So this is a missus dress. It is a fitted wrap dress. It has length and sleeve variations. View B and C, they have shaped hemlines and flounces with baby narrow hems. The fabrics that the pattern recommend are a double georgette, a crepe de chine, and a challis. The fabric that I will be using for this project is a rayon. I found this rayon at my local Joann's, and this is 100% rayon. You can see here that the fabric has some texture on it. On the bolt, it says that it is crinkle rayon, so it has almost like a crepe texture to it, but this is a rayon that I will be using for my dress. So we just went over the description as well as the fabrics. Again, I'm going to be working on view B, and I purchased 5.5 yards. I purchased 5.5 yards because I know I'm going to at least have to cut a 16. I don't know if I have to grade the pattern over to maybe a 20, so I just got 5.5 just to be on the safe side. And this fabric is 49 inches wide. So I went with the 45-inch width measurement for the yardage of fabric that I purchased. So I purchased 5.5 yards. We will also need some fusible interfacing for this project. The notions that we need to purchase for view A and B, we need 3/4 of a yard of single fold bias tape. And for view C, we need 3/4 of a yard of 3/8 inches wide elastic. So that's what we would need to pick up for view C, but again, I'll be doing view B, so I only need the single fold bias tape. I can't tell you the size that I'll be cutting just yet, so I will have to open up the instructions for that. You can see here that they only have the back length from base of neck, that finished garment here, but I need to see the finished garment measurement for the bust before I can tell you what size I'll be cutting. So now that we've gone over all these details, let's get into the supplies. So again, the fabric that I will be using is this rayon. This is the interfacing that I picked up to use for this project. I know that it says easy knit interfacing, but honestly, I use this for knit as well as some lightweight woven garments. I find that it adds just a little bit of stability, especially with fabrics like this that are really lightweight and drapey. I don't want anything heavy, so this easy knit interfacing works fine for me, and I found it over on the clearance section in Joann's. So this is the interfacing that I will be using. Again, you don't have to get knit interfacing. You can get woven if you're using woven fabric. This is just what I'm using. The other notions that we needed was some single fold bias tape, so I did pick up a packet of that. And then we just have the everyday supplies. I have my serger thread. I will most likely use white And here is some machine thread here. My ruler so I can transfer the dart legs for the dart. Measuring tape just so I can measure my bust, waist, and hips one more time before I cut into my fabric to make sure I'm cutting the right size. Marking tool that I'll be using. I have my pins here. I have my pattern weights. I have my rotary cutter for my paper and patterns. And this is my rotary cutter for my fabric. I also have my snippers here to cut off the loose threads. Seam ripper for any mistakes that may come up, I'll have that close by. And also my seam gauge. We have some really narrow hems that we would have to fold up. The pattern said baby narrow hems. So I have my seam gauge here to make sure I'll be folding everything up accurately and pressing it in place. So now that we went over the supplies that I purchased and what we will need, make sure you have your iron hot. Now I'm gonna go ahead and open up the pattern. So first it looks like we will be fusing interfacing to the wrong side of piece 7. And then we will go ahead and stitch our darts on our piece 1, our front. Looks like we're going to go ahead and create the right belt by folding it right sides together, stitching it, turning it right side out, and then basting it to the front of the bodice. Then we'll do the same thing for the left belt. Then we will stitch our front to back at the side seams, being sure to leave an opening right here so we can pull the tie all the way around. It's showing you how to do a narrow hem to close up the tie to make it nice and neat. I will also interface around this area since it will be like a stress point with pulling that tie through and around. I will interface that just a little bit to stabilize it. Then we start working on our sleeves, piece 5 and 6. Go ahead and install that onto the bodice. Then we will stitch the sleeve front and back down and create the narrow hem. Step 13, we'll do a little bit of stay stitching because it says to prevent the neck edge from stretching, stitch 1/4 inch from raw edge. So that's just like a stay stitch, except for a stay stitch is sometimes done at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. This will be done at 1/4 inch. And then we will take that piece 7 that we interface, which is the front facing, and go ahead and sew that onto the front. Then we'll begin working with the bias tape. Looks like we'll be sewing that onto the back neckline and finishing that off, doing some understitching. Over in step 18, it looks like we will be turning the front facing and bias tape to the inside and then stitching close to that pressed edge, tacking the facing down to the seam allowance right here at the arms. The next step, starting at 19, is for view C. So if that's the view that you want to make, this is where you will be starting on this pattern. Okay, so the next page is continuing with view C, and we will all pick back up here at step 37 to begin sewing the skirt. So we'll stitch the back together, stitch the front to the back, do stay stitching around the upper edge of the skirt. Go ahead and do the narrow hem along the front edges. This right here is the front flounce and the back flounce section. We'll begin working on those for view B. If you're working on view A, you don't have to worry about that, but I will be doing this flounce right here. Looks like we'll be doing stay stitching on the notched edge to keep it from stretching out while we're working on it. And then we will go ahead and do that baby narrow hem for this flounce. This part right here for stitching this, all of this curve right here, it's going to be absolutely important that we take our time and press so we can get the hem in nice and clean. And then it looks like we'll go ahead and attach that to the bottom edge of the skirt. Finish off this front opening edge of the skirt with a narrow hem. And lastly, we will be pinning the bodice to the skirt right here, sewing that all together, turning the facing to the inside and giving that a good press. And then we'll all be done. So now I'm going to take my pattern pieces to look at the front bust, pattern piece number 1, to see if that will tell me what size that I would like to cut for this dress. Okay, here's piece 1, the bodice. So for the size 14, the finished garment measurement for the bust is a 39.5. For the 16, it's a 41.5. For the 18, it's a 43.5. For the 20, a 45.5. And for the 22, it's a 47.5. So based off of these measurements right here for the bust, I am gonna cut the 18 for this dress. I'm gonna just cut the straight 18. I'm not gonna do any grading because this is a wrap dress. It's loose, it's flowy, it's not clingy to my body, so I don't need to grade over for my waist and hip. I'm just gonna cut the straight 18 for this dress. Well, that's all for the video. I really do hope that you all enjoyed it and you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them for me down below. I'll be more than happy to answer. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the video when it goes live on Friday. I'll see you all then. Blessings, everyone. Bye.